They had to put big ones in here to hold up all of this rock. You can see right here where some of these boards are bending. Do you hear that? Sounds like, what, is that wind? I don't know if you can hear that on the camera. Do you hear that? It stopped. Well, I don't know what that is. That doesn't sound like wind, but that's crazy. Don't know if that's a bird or I don't know what that is. It almost sounds like snakes, but wow. I've heard some weird stuff in mines, but that is definitely creepy. I don't know what that is. So let's get out of here and head back out to the portal. That was weird. I don't hear it.
Yeah, welcome back with another banger. Yeah. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Y'all feel me? Let's run it.
The catacombs of Paris are as suspicious as it gets. Since when do we decorate rooms with grandma's bones? To me, this has everything to do with cannibalism and human farming. The catacombs are some 200 miles of labyrinth tunnels and over 6 million skeletons. There's almost an equal number of quarries and tunnel networks that stretch far beyond the boundary of the city. It's said one could spend their entire lifetime wandering without so much as scratching the surface. And while people do travel the catacombs illegally, much of this vast underground world has been sealed off. They claim it's due to the danger posed by cavities. So evidence is being deliberately filled up and sealed with concrete. Basically, no one needs to see what's going on down there. Now, this tiny portion which is open to the public, which is only under a mile, is known as the Denfert Rochereau ossuary. And when we look at these ossuaries, something about them just doesn't sit right. Again, we don't decorate our rooms with our ancestors' bones. These ossuaries have a ritualistic aspect beyond mere burial. To me, it's obvious all these deaths were happening in the same time frame, some type of mass extinction. Just pay attention to the bones. Many of the skulls have a hole over the pineal gland, denoting some type of violent death. We see skulls, femurs, arms, and legs, but where's the rest? You don't see chest bones, sternum, scapula. These aren't small. And this is the case in practically all the catacombs. So unless you've been living under Rockefeller-induced programming, you know there's worldwide accounts of giants in every single culture, many of which that were reported to be cannibals. And then we have the Book of Enoch that states these giants devoured all the labor of men until it became impossible to feed them. This gives an entirely different perspective to all the scattered piles we see throughout the illegal sections. Was Paris at one point a human farming factory for giants? And here's where things get weirder. In the 1500s, Paris's population was supposedly 205,000 people per square mile. Now judge for yourself if those numbers sound feasible, because the most densely populated city today is the city of Manila in the Philippines, and they are utterly suffocating. And their population is only 107,000 per square mile. So those numbers of Paris are either BS or they were being cooped up like chickens. That would match the legends of humanity being a slave race to giants at one point. Because most of history, as we know, is a lie, used to push a certain narrative. One thing is for sure, the truth behind these catacombs is much darker than the original story. Question everything.
Now that's a rabbit hole right there. Shout out to Electric Beam. That's crazy. Skull and bones, no torsos, no legs or feet. From what I can see, over 200 miles of 6 million skeletons. That's a great point. Since when do we decorate our rooms with grandma's bones?
So Perez Hilton, this is kind of interesting. Let me pull this up because people are trying to find out what happened to him. He almost unalived himself. And then he's like naked.
I know naked we can't do.
You can't see it right here, but he's on TikTok lives. He was like cutting himself and I don't know what the fuck is going on.
That shit is crazy.
You guys haven't heard that he completely crashed out. I don't know exactly what happened. He was on TikTok live for like 30 minutes, cutting himself, covered in blood. Yeah. People were trying to figure out like what was going on. And this is an interesting comparison too. This just came out not too long ago. Well, this is fake, so this is fine.
Oh, this is the video.
That video that just came out, right? Yeah. So you guys see that. So that's Ariana Grande. So it's kind of weird.
I'll wait for you to go.
We see that, but he was bloody, she was bloody, and that just came out just a couple days ago, and then that happened.
Well, you know, Ariana Grande has actually on camera said that she's a witch, right? Like clear as day.
What?
Oh yeah, she's actually said, I'm a witch. And she said, I'm the witchiest of witches. She's actually said this shit. I saw it last night and couldn't believe my ears or my eyes.
eyes. Somebody said it looks like spirit cooking. Yeah, it actually does. If you look at Abramovich, she does the spirit cooking. She works with a lot of celebrities. So this looks something of the sorts as well. Does all this weird shit. These are ritualistic colors, black, white, and red all the time. So it's not a coincidence. People are trying to figure out what happened to him. Don't know. I do find it interesting that his whole job back in the day was to expose celebrities, all their gossip, all the stuff, and then down the line, this happens. And it's just strange timing because Ariana Grande was covered in blood just like him. And it happens in real life.
Well, you know, the video is about her not being good enough. Like the little bosses or whatever, they would tell her, oh yeah, you almost got it. Yeah, come back, come back. So she goes back auditioning. And then in the video, she actually takes a chainsaw to these motherfuckers.
What?
Was judging and then goes out to the other people that were auditioning and they're cheering. They're like, yay! Because she
What is it called?
PEDEL. And literally she in the video and then comes out to applause.
Is this some type of ritual? Some type of connection?
Survey says yes.
Oh, somebody says she's mocking the movie Carrie. Aren't they doing a remake?
Well, they already did that.
Oh, yeah.
They are?
Yep.
Damn, they won't let this shit go.
Look at this. Carrie.
Yeah.
Upcoming miniseries.
Because Carrie was masterclass in humility. Like, that's all they did to Carrie with the grand finale with the bucket of blood at the end at the prom.
Perez Hilton was in the hospital for 3 weeks recently and was speaking out how he found God.
Big G or little G. You could be God all you want. What God you talking about?
We got to get Lottie back in here to read her aura. Because I know she did Selena Gomez, so we got to get her aura reading.
I can tell you now, she said it out of her own mouth. I am a witch.
So Perez...
I'm Lorraine Warren, and this is my home. We've lived here, I guess about 40 years now. This is where everything started. Everything started about our work. Okay, so let's go in. I'll show you the house. There's a lot of pictures of us in the house. Here's one of the pictures of Ed and I.
You guys were inseparable.
Oh yeah, yeah, we were. We didn't do anything without one another. You're in probably one of the most haunted places in the world because of the things that are in here. Everything in here has been taken from some place where people are either killed or maimed or so many ways. So it's tragic for me, you know, to even go in. People are very, very interested in the museum. And there's some people that are afraid to even go in. Right here is a conjuring mirror. Everything and anything in here we have investigated. Don't ever touch anything. And if you do, let me know. This is the worst thing in here. It's that doll. I'm not gonna stare at it though. So you can take the picture, but I'm not gonna stare at it because that has done bad harm on a lot of people. You have to conjure the spirits in order to get it. You know, you're not going to get them by just walking around here.
And that's the one that's sort of depicted a little bit in this movie, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's the Annabelle doll. Yes.
Father, and of the Son, of the Holy Spirit, amen.
What has been done is circular embolism, which is prayers, are said all the time, you know, to pray.
You have a priest to bless.
Yes, definitely. Yes, oh my God, yes. I can't do that.
Quick pause, because this might actually help you out. If you ever needed access to your money before payday, there's a banking app called Current that lets you get up to $750 as a paycheck advance once you qualify. So instead of waiting for payday, you can get access to your funds earlier when you actually need them. Paycheck advance is clearly my favorite. I'm sure it'll be yours too. But if you're trying to build credit or just want your direct deposit sooner, it handles all of that in one app. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you straight to the sign up page where you can create an account. Just go through the normal sign up steps, enter your information to order your current card. After you complete those steps, you'll see an option to enter my promo code REACT, which unlocks a $75 bonus. If you ever feel like managing money is stressful or tight sometimes, it's definitely worth just checking out because that's literally what it's designed for, helping people like you stay more on top of their finances.
This new discovery, it reminds me, where have I seen it before? Where have I seen it before? I remembered, wasn't this part of the technology of the Tartarian Empire? It's the same thing, but the difference is that this device here runs on clean, free energy. But what is this Tartarian Empire? Has anyone ever heard about it? It's a myth. How can it be a myth when it's found in all the old maps and books? Tartaria was a massive empire that lasted until the 19th century, so it wasn't just an ordinary empire. It was an empire built on special sciences like free energy and ether. Their people were very tall. Their height reached up to 2.5 or even 3 meters. And this is evident in the size of their buildings and their doors, own pace. Everything in Tartaria was based on free and clean energy, even the buses. And as usual, I'm not just making this up. There are many books that talked in detail about the Tartarian civilization and revealed its secrets, including this book. Anyway, an empire as vast and great as this one, what could bring it to an end? Did it end by coincidence or was there someone behind it? This is a CIA document that basically states that the Soviet Communist Party was primarily responsible for distorting, falsifying, and hiding the truth about the Tartarian civilization, as well as concealing many of the Russian attacks that took place against Tartaria. But the real disaster isn't even here. This was the flag of Tartaria, and it had a mythical creature called the griffin on it. And this is the Russian coat of arms. Do you see the noble knight on the horse? What is he stepping on? It's the same griffin that was on the Tartaria flag. And with all due respect to those who will say, no, that's not the story, it's actually so-and-so, and that I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I know the story. The symbolism is clear, it doesn't need any explanation, but let's leave that aside. Now let's come here. This is Tartaria and this is China. What's this wall? The Great Wall of China. Are you sure? Because in old books that talked about Tartaria, it was called the Great Wall of Tartaria. But let's forget about those old books. Those people were liars. Look, the wall itself is supposed to have this side where people stand to fight off the enemies attacking their country. The enemy comes from here, so people stand here and fight them off, right? So here, this side is supposed to be facing outside of China, which means naturally China should be here and the enemy country should be here, right? No, that's not right. Here is China and here is the other country. This means that the country that built this wall did so to protect itself from attacks coming from China, not the other way around. And all the justifications people give, like, no, China built it because there were enemies inside China, none of that makes sense to me. And if we go back to the map again, we'll find here that the wall was built along the entire border between Tartaria and China. It was literally a barrier and a divider between two countries. So the idea that China built it to defend itself from threats coming from within its own land just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Now we come to the most important part. How did Tartaria disappear from history and leave no trace behind? Have you ever wondered how Tartarids appeared from history and left no trace behind? In short, a massive mud flood came, wiped it out, and buried most of it. These images are like a simulation showing how the flood covered everything. If this is a building, the flood would cover all of this, and only this part would remain visible. Similarly here, all of this would be buried under the mud. And here as well, the same thing happened. So does that mean it was a natural disaster that no one had anything to do with and that's what wiped them out? Or is there more to it? There are two theories. The first one says that this flood came, subhanallah, only to Tartary and wiped it out by itself. And all of this was caused by nature. We had nothing to do with it, but honestly, that doesn't make sense to me. As for the second theory, it says that the mud flood was a man-made disaster and it was more like energy-directed explosions. Something like, for example, this weapon here. In short, it was a deliberate war aimed at erasing Tartaria from history. And now we come to the important question. Who would benefit from hiding it and why?
Who would benefit? I wonder who. Shout out to Midnight Whispers 12 a.m. Some deep stuff right here. Really makes you wonder about the Great Wall, for sure. And those old maps. Makes me think of the city of Atlantis with this flood, as well as all that mud.
It's a dwarf. It definitely has dwarfism because when you compare it to the other ones, it just looks like it. You can compare the dwarf Sasquatch to my body. It's very small. It's very small and it's very dried out, but it's still heavy. The reason why it's dried out is that all the Bigfoot body parts have been kept in freezers since 1953. They're very dry. Recently, I converted the walk-in that I keep the Bigfoot into a freeze dryer by adding a vacuum and an actuator. So now they're safe to be in a hot sun like this.
Do you see this? Do you see this? It's freaking nature, and it's freaking awesome! Woo!
A woman was nearly killed and held at gunpoint in Wisconsin because of a flock camera mishap, and not enough people are talking about it. What you're watching here is video from Fox 10 showing police officers holding a woman at gunpoint because a flock camera and a flock system notified them that the car she was driving was associated with an active homicide investigation. Turns out, not only was it the wrong car, but it was also the wrong person. A complete digital mix-up caused this. The ALPR system flagged a passing vehicle, indicating that it was directly connected to an active homicide investigation out of Milwaukee. This right here is in Waukesha County, Wisconsin. And according to Fox 6 News Milwaukee, you literally see police officers with their weapons drawn and a passenger trying to stick her hand out of the side of her window. It was a complete failure, all because Flock got it wrong. The wrong person, the wrong vehicle. We are nearing the point where thankfully this person was not shot by officers and nothing went wrong here. But it could have went bad very quickly, and people need to know what's happening. Follow for more.
Unfortunately, I feel this is only the beginning of the massive amounts of mistakes AI can make on the public. Yo, they on a highway right now. That's not even at like a stoplight or nothing. Like, yo, that's wild. Shout outs to Aaron Parnas.
All right, so we got multiple fleet vehicles. As you can see, lots of police. This is going to be Smyrna Police Department. You can see the radar is plotting excellent. Very happy with that. This is the Moto G, also plotting excellent. Quite a bit of networks here. Let's see everything. Let's just go to all. So, getting all these hidden networks. Let's scan for Bluetooth. There we go. Let's see if we get any Bluetooth and quite a bit of Wi-Fi. There we go. Axon Bluetooth, Axon Wi-Fi. So this is the Moto G, Galaxy, Pixel. It looks like they named their networks here with, you know, kind of commercialized numbering, which is pretty standard across a lot of fleet vehicles. So pretty dense RF activity right here.
Felt like I was sitting in the Batmobile. Like, what am I looking at? What is going on? Shout out to Sophia Ops. We were talking about this in a live stream with Ted 2 Fridays ago with counter surveillance, you know? It's wild. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thinking he's trying to point out that his technology he's using is all Android tech, trying to put an emphasis on cybersecurity.
The rocket crashing into the moon is dangerous propaganda. I'll explain why. First of all, the moon is not a physical object that you can crash things into. You can see Mercury through the moon, you can see Venus through the moon, and occasionally Mercury and Venus transit the sun, so we don't have to bother with that. The thing I want to talk about is how this marks the new era of space travel. They're seeing what they can get away with. They're seeing if they'll get called out for using CGI and AI, ultimately in preparation to land on the moon. And I'm telling you right now, do not fall for that.
My question is, who's filming it going into the moon? Shout out to CM Dr. Davenport. When you think about it, Didn't he just go up to space and we could barely get any good videos from that? Now they could show something going into the moon that fast? Very questionable.
There's a video going around the internet of a SpaceX rocket apparently hitting the moon. And honestly, this is the most CGI slop I've ever seen in my entire life. Upon taking a closer look, you can very clearly see that this is absolute LARP. And this isn't the only time that SpaceX has LARPed. In fact, almost all of their videos of rocket launches and definitely the rocket landings are CGI. Look at that. Did you see that lens flare? That artificial lens flare? It literally looks like I'm playing Ratchet and Clank. It's like I'm on the PS5 and they've remastered the Ratchet and Clank series and I'm now currently playing it. At least the water is boiling, unlike in the Artemis 2 mission when the pod landed in the water and nothing happened. So this guy is combusting rocket fuel in the atmosphere of Earth. See how it is clearly combusting? No issue at all. Well, guess what he does? He creates the atmosphere of space, which is no atmosphere. He makes a vacuum. And he tries to combust the rocket fuel, which apparently has its own oxidizers, and it doesn't combust, no matter what he does. And he even adds more air back into the chamber, and it still does not combust, as you are seeing right here. So we can scientifically prove that rocket fuel cannot combust in a void, which I literally just showed you. That's why all of the videos and pictures of rockets actually in outer space are CGI, because we can't actually go to outer space. You cannot propel in a void because you need something physical to push off of, and you cannot combust anything in a void because you need a ridiculous amount of oxidizers. So I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes only.
Shout out to Holistic Health Nut 33. Dang, bro. What they release to the public, man, is simply playing with people's intelligence. I like the scientific experiment right there. Creating a vacuum and scientifically proving that it's not possible if there's no oxygen in space. Even if it had oxygen on board.
This map is for the lands beyond the ice wall. It means our land is here, and the ice wall is here, and this is everything beyond the ice wall. So if this map is proven to be accurate, then we are going to a completely different place. The important thing is, while I was zooming in, I discovered some very strange things. Pay attention to the names of the islands that I'm going to tell you about. The first one is Thoth, named after the ancient Egyptian god Amun-Ra. Then, Anubis and Horus. What's even stranger is that there's an island called Teslanesia, derived from the word Tesla. Even more strange, it has electric written underneath it. And look, doesn't this remind you of something? Like the movie King Kong and the island he was on, for example? And here, it's not an English name. It's written in Arabic. The Worldly Islands. Explain this to me. And it gets stranger and stranger. Here you have an island for dragons. And here, an island for mythical monsters. You might say dragons are mythical creatures that don't exist. I would say that all dictionaries define a dragon as a rare animal, not a mythical one. And this, remember, Atlantis. And here, an island named Poseidon, in Greek civilization. And here, Sequoia, the land of giants. By the way, if you search for the name, you'll find images of giant trees. The important thing is that when I searched in Arabic sources, I read about the Fortunate Isles, islands similar to the ones I forgot. The question here is, if this map is real, could the gods in ancient civilizations have been people from other lands who came to our earth, spread their knowledge, and that's why they were revered?
Bro, those islands, names of it, that's crazy. Shout out to Midnight Whispers 12 a.m. That's definitely something to think about. And it absolutely reminds me of the movie King Kong.
There is something called smart dust there dropping in the sky. I think this is the answer behind the so-called chemtrails that we are seeing get sprayed. There is a patent for this created in 2016, and it's a product of DARPA and handed to Wells Fargo. Smart dust is known as MEMS, an acronym for Micro-Electro-Mechanical Systems. The MEMS device sensors are called motes. The chip is so small it makes a salt crystal look big. It's called the Mu chip, made by Hitachi. It's the smallest RFID system in the world. It's pulse powered by radio waves and it doesn't require a battery. Here's the new game Moles on Rainbet. So the benefit of it being wireless is they can scatter it like dust, because it doesn't need a power source. There are videos out there where people will put a flashlight to the fog and it literally looks like sawdust is flying in it. But what you're seeing is microchips, aka smart dust. So pretty much it's a self-contained micro sensor node that becomes a full-on invisible surveillance tool. It is suspended in the air and released in clouds or fog. And if a human is near it, the dust starts collecting data. The motes can be self-propelled and are able to move around. It can collect data used to perform facial or body recognition. It also gets to weight and even your fingerprints. It also collects audio data that can be used to authenticate a user based on voice recognition, or can be used to detect heart rate, blood pressure, and body temperature. Another patent that was created in connection to this is a predictive text system created in 2021, and of course, again granted to Wells Fargo. That is used to analyze and predict your thoughts as you type. So when you connect this with the smart dust, every single aspect of yourself has entered a full-on surveillance. In 2024, a lot of people believe they did a mass test after a large blanket of fog affected the USA, United Kingdom, and Canada. Over 4 million people were impacted. The fog was so thick, many people reported it having a particle appearance. It also had a chemical burning smell to it. This occurrence garnered the name FogVid24, after many people got sick from this after being exposed to it. This wouldn't be the first time biological warfare was tested on citizens. Back in the 1950s, the military ran biological and chemical tests over American cities, specifically San Francisco. I think this should answer your question about the so-called chemtrails. You think you're getting tracked by flock, but you're really getting tracked from the dust particles that are dropping from these trails over big cities, and you'd never know. I do believe them rolling out 6G has a major play in this.
The videos lately have been so weird, and they want people like us to post them. But I'm not going to post them, you see. Because, little honey, it's their hope that the dark arts is the new counter movement. Which is why videos like these are used. They do something called revealing the method.
The political elite, the financial elite, people that are at the very top of it, they're doing this stuff because they're revealing their belief. They're revealing the method.
So we see this in the mocking of the Last Supper, the opening of the tunnel, Switzerland, concerts with pentagrams, dark music videos, anything with mental hysteria.
What is the point? To normalize people's exposure to it so people have seen it enough to where they become comfortable with it. And then from there, then they can start opening up the avenue a lot more towards getting people to actually believe it.
People who practice evil want you to be desensitized to evil so you can therefore see evil as a hobby, not as something obscure. So they want evil to become a night at the club or a funny story. I'm literally itching my ear because it was because it was itching. Don't worry, it wasn't like a weird symbol. See, we're all scared to trust now. We're all scared, and that's okay. And this is why the comedians have gotten so much darker in the past years, even the cool alternative ones like Tim Dillon. I have such a hard time remembering names, and then people get really mad at me in the comments. I'm like, you don't even know who that person is. Like, use your aura for something better, honey. So if the machine is so eager to serve you dark visions, then perhaps the machine understands that your eyes and ears are sort of portals to your soul. So protect them and don't subjugate them to random things. Let's heal our eyes with scenes from The Hobbit now. Bye, butts.
She's making great points. What can I say? Shout out to Mary as Alien. I agree with her. They want us desensitized to craziness.
They say the most dangerous alchemy isn't done in a lab. It happens inside the human psyche. Psychologists call it the dark triad: Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy. 3 distinct forces that, when combined, create a kind of shadow geometry of power. But long before psychology named them, mystics had already mapped these energies. In Hermetic writings, they were seen as the 3 distortions of will: control, self-worship, and detachment from empathy. In Kabbalistic thought, they echo the unbalanced tree. When the pillars of severity and mercy lose their harmony, the middle path collapses. Even in early Christian mysticism, these traits align with the three temptations of the desert: manipulation for bread, pride for glory, and cold combination for dominion. What fascinates me is that these traits only belong to tyrants. They live quietly in the human condition, in boardrooms, in relationships, even in spiritual communities. Some of the most convincing light workers carry these shadows in refined form: charisma without compassion, intelligence without conscience, and purpose without humility. Alchemy taught that shadow isn't to be destroyed but transmuted. So, what happens when you bring consciousness into dark triad? When the manipulator turns strategist, the narcissist learns self-awareness, and the psychopath cultivates stillness? The same traits that can destroy empires could, in theory, build them if they are integrated, not indulged. Maybe the question isn't how to avoid dark triad. Maybe it's whether you already mastered it or it's mastering you.
Some deep stuff. Are you mastering it or is it mastering you? Shout out to Azazel9. Definitely got to do work on the shadow self. Shadow work.
It's going crazy. It looked like it was the holy. It looked like it was dying off for a second there. Look at that. Look at how high those flames are. Crazy.
Made you tick like this, man. And for the record, are you suicidal? No. No. Are you? No, I'm not suicidal at all. In fact, I've met multiple people on the way, and they confirmed I was not suicidal. Your name, homie? Jeff. What's your social handle?
Jay Harrison Lamont on Instagram.
Jeff, you saw me and Alex alive?
Yep.
Do we look suicidal to you? No. Huh? State the name.
Adrian Hubbard.
You saw one Joe Fells and Alexander Wilson alive and well. And if we die, blame the government.
Absolutely, blame the government as well.
So there you go. We're in great mental health, right? Physical health. You see, we're not dying anytime soon. But if we disappear, the government did it.
Something's not sitting right with me about what happened to Joe Fells. And I tried not to go down that rabbit hole, but I had to. Let's start off with the fact that they just confirmed his death. And it's something that Joe Fells said that he'll never do. So they're saying that Joe Fells' death was suicide by hanging. On numerous occasions, Joe Fells said that he would never take his own life. On numerous occasions, Joe Fells said that if anything ever happened to him, and they said something like this, that we need to question it. We know that Joe Fells advocated for Julian Brown. They were friends. This is the same person that's making gas out of plastic. Now go down that rabbit hole. It's a video with Joe Fells saying that people that live on the planet Earth shouldn't be paying for electricity. And then look at this shit.
In front of me are several centuries of hidden and lost information. I'm going to make a digital library out of everything you see here and some not pictured as well. This is one of 3 Bibles I have. 1878 print contains pictures, illustration, and information not contained in a normal Bible. Conversations on the Bible. Enoch Pond. 1889. Do we need a Bible? What belongs to the Bible? By whom and where were the books of the Bible written? The lost books of the Bible. Christ and Abgar's. I've never heard of Abgar's. Paul and Seneca. Paul knew Seneca? Letters of Herod and Pilate. Those are the guys who crucified Jesus.
And then I dug a little bit deeper. And in this video, Joe was speaking about who the Holy Land really belonged to. And I'm not going to put that video up here because they will definitely flag it. This man had information that they are now trying to hide. And you know how they feel about certain people having certain information. Now, I'm not going to get into the things that they said about his girlfriend. Neither am I going to get into the things that they said about him having a Masonic affiliation. But what I will say is, in every video I've seen Joe in, he looked like he was at peace. I don't think that a person that looks like they were at peace at 40 years old would just randomly, well, you know what I'm trying to say, right? I'm out.
I agree. Something ain't sitting right with me either. And just like expensive talk, it's a rabbit hole I didn't really want to go down. But with the way he passed away, being in commercial headlines is the total opposite of what the man was saying. And he seemed like he was at peace. I agree. Not to mention, a lot of the books can be found if you Google it, but the attention and the awareness he was putting towards certain things, you know what I'm trying to say. Shout out to Expensive Talk.
I'd like to start out by saying I'm not suicidal and I'm very healthy.
So TMZ reported that Joe Phelps' death was a hanging. It was a suicide. He took his own life. But when you look at the time leading up to his death, things just don't add up. It doesn't make sense.
If we disappear, the government did it.
Let's take a look at it. Joe Phelps was an 8-time felon. In his 20s, he spent a lot of time in prison, but he turned his life around at 40. And it seemed like he was in the prime of his life. Apart from going to hospital for a minor cyst recently, he had no health issues whatsoever. And do you take your own life when you're literally claiming the opposite openly in video?
I'm not suicidal and I'm very healthy.
I looked through so many theories. Some were stating that he was an agent of Freemasonry because of his tattoos.
These are Masonic symbols. Not only that, he also has a tattoo of a Templar cross.
But tattoos do not make you an agent. I've seen loads of tattoos of the pyramid in the eye. It doesn't make you part of the Illuminati. Seems unlikely, at least. There were other theories that literally claimed that he was Ethan Hawke.
So I compared faces and grin. Everything fit perfect.
The only problem is Ethan Hawke is currently Ethan Hawke, so that can't be right. I feel like with a topic like this, if something dodgy did happen, you would see a lot of people come out with false narratives, flood social media with false claims, so that it confuses people when people don't know which way is up. Because what we do know is he claimed that helicopters were following him and Julian Brown, who he was working with.
Came over here. Is he coming back? And did a 360 that way. 2 months ago, I put in a solar system for Julian Brown, who was powering the world's first microwave pyrolysis reactor off of solar. A few days after the content, helicopters started circling him at night. Really freaked him out. At the same time, I started having cybersecurity attacks on a lot of my companies. Shortly thereafter, all of Julian's social media was hacked.
He claimed he was being hacked and Julian was being hacked and he was worried about his life. That should be the focal point here. The things that he was working on, like free solar energy and teaching people about it.
I do not think that humans should buy and sell electricity. I don't think it's theirs. I think it was put here on this earth by God for all of us to use, and that people have been selling it to you. And I don't like that.
And his work on thousands of pages of these ancient books, which may have angered some people or certain countries.
You know that gut feeling you have about an obscure cabal controlling planet Earth? Well, maybe it's not as crazy as you think.
The only thing I found on the other side of it is he did recently lose his father, and he was visibly upset about this.
Sunday, May 3rd, my father, Mike Fells, passed away after a years-long battle with Parkinson's disease.
But would that drive him to take his own life? Seems unlikely. Loss and grievance is a normal part of life, and you're looking at a guy who was arguably in his prime.
Obscure L.H. Anderson author who would tell you all the psychic forces of magnetism the elite have been using to rule the world since the Egyptians.
Shout out to Jake vs. the State, presenting a strong argument. And I agree, just because you have tattoos, that doesn't mean you have affiliation. At that moment, at least. He said an 8-time felon. Maybe he got the tattoos in jail. But I remember them helicopters flying around his house and all of that. But him being Ethan Hawke, Ethan Hawke is still alive. That does show you, maybe there are plants in this content creator space. Brings a weird feeling. It's pretty creepy. One thing's for sure, it's for entertainment purposes only.
Look at how fast the echo chamber operates through social media, and the second someone outside the mainstream narrative passes away, the internet immediately fills with experts claiming to have it all figured out. Half the creators out there rush to immediately label Joe Fells a government plant, and they point at Masonic tattoos, esoteric symbols, and instantly write him off as one of the system's insiders. But ask yourself a fundamental question: if the system was controlling him, why would they use someone that was actively teaching people how to break away from their system? Just think about what he was actually doing, because he was teaching civilians how to live off-grid, harvest solar energy, grow their own food, and building true self-sufficiency. He was also digging up ancient books, exposing historical texts removed from the mainstream scriptures, and was constantly encouraging people to think outside centralized control. Self-reliance, decentralization, and questioning authority, those are the exact things the system tries to suppress and not promote. And even having exposure to esoteric history and knowledge, or the symbolic art itself, doesn't automatically mean someone belongs to the elites. Knowledge and symbolism itself are neutral, and it's how it's used that matters. But also just consider the timing, because days before his passing, he reported being targeted, noticed constant surveillance over his home, and explicitly stated he would never harm himself. He was also days away from releasing a massive archive of suppressed documents and books on his platform, and then suddenly, he's gone, and almost immediately, his accounts start getting scrubbed and videos start to vanish. I'm not standing here telling you I have every answer, that he was or wasn't a plant, or that infiltration into our decentralized communities doesn't happen, but I am saying that before you just blindly accept the easy label of government plant, think about who actually benefits when a creator teaching real-world independence is instantly discredited and then forgotten. And regardless if he was or wasn't, don't let quick internet labels distract you from the tools of self-reliance he was putting in your hands. Always question everything, including the people telling you who not to listen to, and why they might be so quick to try and dismiss all the work Joe had done. We do not forgive, we do not forget. Anonymously enlightening out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. Enjoyed this video, please consider to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, don't forget to hit the notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again, till next time.